I liked HOTD from the start, I really did, but I wasn't all that into it until episode 4. No because of those scenes, but because of this one. Viserys finally being fed up with his brother and exiling him. I liked it not because he did it, but why he did it, the context of the scene. If Rhaenyra has been compared with Daenerys, Otto with Littlefinger, Daemon is Jaime f***ing Lannister. Incest and all. Daemon is here, finally facing some consequences, but not because what he did, but because what he didn't do. You see, this guy, this cunning, violent, entitled, murderous prick, just did here the best thing he did in the show up until now, probably in his whole life. He took Rhaenyra with the idea of literally grooming her, and he did. That's not the good thing I was referring to. He had her exactly what he wanted her. To get from her what he wanted, his kingship, by marrying her. Look at her, enthralled by her cool uncle. He just needed to keep being his charming self, luring her with taunting comments and looks, also f***ing her good and well, and then convince his brother of following the Targaryen tradition with the help of a completely love-struck Rhaenyra. Not by himself with a huge hangover. He would have been king, she would have been queen, and all his dreams would have been fulfilled. But he didn't. He at least didn't go all the way in, because in his own way, the way of a man that seriously thinks this is valid law enforcement, in a world when this happens all the time, he loves his niece. He does. It's disgusting, but he does. No matter how much of a woman-grown Rhaenyra is for the standards of the time, no matter Daemon's way of viewing things, and his self-interest too, he doesn't want to use her. That affected his focus. And then he ran away because he's still an egocentric asshole with a colossal chip on his shoulder. But he didn't go completely through with the grooming and abusing of his teenage niece, admittingly a low bar. That's the most honorable thing Daemon did in the whole show at this point. And he got just retaliation and punishment for it. Reminds you of someone?
Slayer, oath-breaker, man without honor.
Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire, it's just life is not fair, but with dragons. That doesn't mean life is permanently miserable. There is a difference between grimdark and misery porn. Ask these two guys. Life is not fair means life is not fair. Just that. Doing good things won't always get you good results. Doing bad things won't always get you bad outcomes. That would be fantasy. The best part about Daemon not abusing his niece is that he didn't not do it for noble reasons, like Jaime did with his unsung honorable thing. He did it because he couldn't get it up.
Ultimately, his impotence in this scene is a reflection of the fact that he knows deep down what he's doing isn't right.
But she doesn't just get shocked, she gets excited by it. And when that happens, he has nothing.
That lack of concentration already happened to him in episode 1, after a victory. In the brothel with Rhaenyra, he's tasting again the sweetness of success. Him not selling the deal here is a reflect of who he is. No matter the achievement, no matter the victories, he never feels adequate, and he always tries to get more in the most autodestructive way possible. The truth is, even with that lack of performance, he could have shown Rhaenyra giving her pleasure in other ways.
Oysters, crabs, and cockles!
He could have kept being charming and mysterious, and that way having her crave for him, even if she entertained herself with other truly lesser men, setting the perfect mechanism in motion to become king by her side. All possible sides really, probably some acrobatic ones even. But he didn't do it because, again, no matter he just defeated an army, conquered land, was declared king of the Narrow Sea, and used that to regain the favor of his brother, the king, he focuses only on the failure, on his own inadequacy, instead of realizing no one can
Performing admirably.
all the time. But no, he let her go because he was only thinking of himself, his failure, his inadequacy, his. Daemon Targaryen is a dragon rider, wielder of Dark Sister, direct descendant of Aegon the Conqueror, brother of the king, uncle of the heiress, and he has an inferiority complex the size of Essos. And because he's just that self-destructive, he couldn't tell the truth to his brother. Reminds you of someone again?
Ned Stark wanted to hear my side.
Jaime Lannister, a self-centered, murderous, entitled prick, was despised all across Westeros for the best thing he ever did, saving King's Landing from the Mad King,
Kingslayer!
which he did for a certain sense of justice.
If your precious Renly commanded you to kill your own father and stand by while thousands of men, women, and children burned to life, would you have done it? Would you have kept your oath then?
Daemon Targaryen, a self-centered, murderous, entitled prick, gets vanished at last for doing the best thing he ever did, not abusing his niece and not using her as a pawn, which he did because he is a self-destructive crybaby. Watching this scene, I realized HOTD had just outdone Game of Thrones. Life is not fair. It's not only Daemon who suffers unjustly. Otto, who wants his grandchild in the throne, is punished for telling the truth.
You'd have my daughter stalked, spied upon.
The spy kid is, of course, a spy. Of course, the Hand of the King and others have spies to control who comes and goes to the palace. Are you stupid, Viserys? No, you are not stupid. You are an indecisive man, burdened with the legacy of a wonderful previous reign. Someone who seemingly can only assert himself when it comes to family. And because regarding everything else you are a second fiddle, a king but a second fiddle nonetheless, which has to sting particularly harshly, you don't act, you lash out, and so you decide almost always wrong. Otto saw the path for Aegon, sure, but I would bet anything he didn't like it. He wanted Rhaenyra to be rejected by the lords out of her own stubbornness, and that might as well have happened. Rhaenyra was shoveling her own grave in that respect. Of course I don't agree with gender politics in Westeros, but Rhaenyra knows the world she lives in, and although I'm definitely a black, at this point in the story she's being stubborn and defiant instead of smart, because she's as much an entitled prick as Daemon is. Alicent, for her part, has her reward for helping Rhaenyra and advising the king in having her father stripped of power, honor and trust, and she herself being questioned by her husband and used just as a breeding mare. Life is not fair for anyone. Rhaenyra lied and was handsomely rewarded. She's a child, but here she got scared enough to get smart.
Daemon never touched me.
Were I born a man, I could bear Tim if I wanted. I could father a dozen bastards, and no one in your court would blink an eye.
Yeah, she's completely right, but by this world's concept of justice, she got rewarded for doing the wrong thing and lying about it. She came out of this better than anyone, even if she had to do some sacrifices. This is life being unjust as well. Life's not fair. That's to me the point of George Martin. So keeping a stupid system of governments based on who is f***ing who and which genitals are between someone's legs is twice as stupid, entertaining as hell from the comfort of your couch, but stupid anyway. If life were fair, if things sorted themselves out by destiny, purpose, prophecy, we wouldn't need to think better ways of doing things all the time, better forms of building houses, roads and bridges. Also better systems of government, of establishing what's justice and how to serve said justice. But we have to think, we have to choose, because life is not fair. There's no destiny, no high purposes, and prophecies are bullshit. All of that, it's just fantasy. The already mythic last seasons of Game of Thrones, particularly the last one, forgot exactly that, injustice, and how to rise above through thought and strategy, even when everything goes wrong when it shouldn't, in order to try to survive, but ultimately to build something better. The last seasons threw all of that out of the window, like any other generic fantasy show. The hell with the strategy and planning. Traveling is so easy now. Depending on who you are, you can completely f up because the narrative will save you in the end. Now chosen ones are a real thing, not something nebulous that seem to be at most a linchpin, a final piece for the realm to fight together. Now individual characters can solve everything by themselves. And don't forget how in the end the system of government is completely changed with a f***ing speech, like this is the West Wing or something. HOTD for now avoids all this stupidity. Mistakes have consequences. Good deeds are rewarded with punishments, and bad choices are punished with rewards. But everything comes around and bites you in the end. The best relationships are robbed of their autonomy. The worst ones keep the realm together. And it's glorious, because I can enjoy it from the safety of my couch. Much was discussed about the sex scene between Rhaenyra and Cole. Some praised its feminine perspective, and rightly so. Others raised concerns about Rhaenyra's age. Some others did the same about Cole being a subject and sworn protector of Rhaenyra's, who is royalty and has quite absolute power over him. No one seemed to be able to mention everything everywhere all at once. The power imbalance between Rhaenyra and Cole is gargantuan, and that doesn't make it okay that a grown man had sex with a girl her age. Cole is the adult, it's his responsibility. Even if doing the right thing could have cost him the brat princess to accuse him of something. A knight, one as stuck up as Cole pretends to be, must do the right thing no matter what. And all of that doesn't erase the fact this is fiction, so you can appreciate the feminine perspective we don't usually get, even when all the characters involved are women, without flogging yourself with moral conundrums. It's not clear, not easy, not black and white. It's messy and contradictory, and f***ing horrible from our modern point of view. It's the true Game of Thrones returning. What's not up for debate is Criston Cole being a crybaby with the emotional maturity of a cabbage.